Hello, this is Scott Nelson from the Austrian Economics Center in Vienna, Austria. As part of our ongoing digital free market roadshow online initiative, we're continuing with the State of the Country reports. And to that end, I am joined by David Chavez Salazar from Colombia. David is a Bachelor of Science in Economics. He is an entrepreneur, CEO of Libertas, which is a consulting firm, and finally, editor-in-chief of the academic journal Estudios Libertarios. Welcome, David.
Thank you very much, Scott. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you.
Great, thank you. And I forgot to mention, actually, one of the most important points, you were also a visiting fellow at the Austrian Economics Center, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. It was a wonderful opportunity for me at the professional level, the personal level. So I'm very glad for this opportunity. It was 2 years ago, and it was wonderful. And Europe is wonderful as well. So I was very happy there. And I expect to come back to Vienna very soon.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing you again at the Institute. And also, I'm looking forward later on in this talk to hearing a little bit more about your professional activities since you were at the Austrian Economics Center. But before that, actually, I wanted to jump into a little bit and hear your perspectives, actually, on the state of Colombia right now, especially during this whole COVID-19 crisis, because, I mean, my perspective is more of a European perspective. And so I know absolutely nothing about what is going on in Colombia right now. Maybe, so if you could start by just giving a little overview, what's the situation look like in Colombia right now?
Yeah, well, the virus arrived 2 months ago at the beginning of March. And in a matter of weeks, Colombia became the country with the highest numbers of cases reported worldwide in the shortest time. If we ignore, for example, the numbers of Italy or Spain, Colombia at that moment was about the third of the fourth place worldwide. And of this number of infected people, I want to highlight a very important issue here. Is the ages. People infected is between 20 and 49 years old. So we're talking about young people, which breaks the myth that only older people is affected by the virus. If you listen on the news or in every corner, people say, oh no, coronavirus is only for the elder. And that's a very grown idea. In fact, only 5% of the cases reported in Colombia correspond to people over 70 years. So that is the health outlook of this situation in Colombia. As for the mortality rate, well, the situation is better if we compare it with the situation in other countries of the region, for example, Brazil, Ecuador. Ecuador is a paradigmatic case in Latin America. And Colombia is doing well. We have a very low mortality rate. I have some numbers here. For example, at this moment, 10,500 people are infected, 2,500 recovered, and only, but this is a disgrace in any case, 450 people dead. But the mortality rate is lower in any case. And this is because three factors: the effectiveness of the test, demographic characteristics of Colombian people, and the efficiency of healthcare system. So these three variables are marking the difference here. That's in health terms. But if we figure out about the economic situation, the economic situation is, of course, and worldwide, is terrible. It's terrible. The economic outlook is very bleak right now. Forecasts show that at the end of 2020, around 2 million people will be unemployed. That's an economic disgrace. And the Colombian economy will suffer the most terrible contraction in its economy in all its entire history. So we are talking about the 7%, and 7% for a mid-income economy like Colombia, and it's a very, very, very strong hit. So that's in general terms the situation right now.
All right. And so what has the government been doing well or poorly, for that matter, in response to the crisis? I mean, if you want to speak to the health dimension and or the economic dimension, please feel free.
Well, Scott, I think that the world has two playing cards to face this situation: the freedom card and the coercion card. And unfortunately, almost every government in the world is playing with the former one, with the latter one, the coercion card. And this is very terrible for us, for all the citizens, because we are seeing that our liberties are constrained on behalf of the collective well-being or the public health or another publicly made goal. So, for example, in Colombia, it was implemented a quarantine. At the beginning, the government said that the quarantine would be only for 20 days. And now it's for 60 days. And what's the problem here? The government tends to impose an only solution for all the territory. Okay, in a small country such as Monaco, Liechtenstein, or some tiny island of the Caribbean, a quarantine for all the country would not be a big problem because the dimensions are lower. But we are talking about countries with millions of people. Austria, 10 million around. Canada, I don't know, 40 million. Colombia, 50 million. So the government is ignoring the different realities of each region. For example, some towns in this country have only one case, even 0 cases. And there are cities like mine, Bogota, that has 1,000, 2,000 cases. So I think the mandatory confinement is not the solution for all the regions, because if you are a government officer, you have to look out what is the situation in each country, and according to that, you can implement actions. So what's the solution for me? That local governments take all the power in their hands to face this situation. In fact, many mayors in the country are asking to the central government, leave the situation in their hands, because they know the situation, because they know their people, they know the concrete situation of their towns. So they are the most indicated in this case to manage this terrible situation. That's not all. The quarantine is only one measure taken by the government. We have also subsidies. We have also economic reliefs to the poor. Financial bailouts. The government has sent its financial helicopters to small and medium-sized enterprises. And problem as well. because at the long run, every enterprise wants to be rescued by the government. That's a logical conclusion of all of this. So, for example, the agricultural companies say, "Oh, you are helping to industrial sector, but what about us? We are feeding the country. It's supposed that you have to help us because we are making a great and very important job for all the people. So I want your help." The universities can say the same. We are educating the future generations, so we demand a very, very tiny, at least, slice of the cake that you are offering. And this is a big problem. You can imagine the debt crisis after this.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. And how's the population then reacting to the lockdown, to some of these measures? Do you have a lot of people starting to sort of clamor for, itchy to recover their freedoms, that sort of thing?
Well, there have been both a demonstration of support and criticism. I'm located on the latter side. I am very critical with these measures. But yes, people have fear of this situation because we haven't got a background for this. It's a situation unique in history, not only at national level, but also worldwide. So it's normal, it's natural that people are scared. And because that fear, people, well, it's not very interested in their liberties because they say, okay, the government wants to save my life. So if I have to stay home, or if I have to avoid go outside, okay, that's okay. That's okay because my life is well and I will be alive in the future. But that's a terrible thought because if you think this issue more deeply, you will find that if you as government try to save as many lives as possible, this is a counterproductive idea because you are making a very strange shock on economy, and you can work if you having a robust and a strong economic structure. So who will produce gloves, masks, leggings, or contain this disease? And I think that people should to think about it because we don't live in the Garden of Eden, and these things will not appear magically. So we have to work, we have to activate the productive structure if we want to save lives.
Absolutely. And actually, on that note, because you had mentioned earlier that you've got a lot of companies who are sort of going hat in hand, as it were, to the government and asking for various handouts. And I wonder, though, I mean, you as well, you have your own company, Libertas, you're the CEO of this consulting firm. So how have you and your own operations been affected by the crisis?
Okay, Scott, I have a small company, but I'm not receiving any help from the government for moral principles, I think. Because if you are libertarian and at the same time you are taking the help of the government, so for me it's not very ethical. And on the other hand, my company works online, so my staff has very important skills to telework. So this situation is not hitting us in terms of labor or working dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
We are as usual, but this situation does affect people who works outside to make handworks, factories, and so on. And I think this is a social bomb that the government has in its hands, and we need solutions different to the shutdown of the economy. We have to reactivate the productive structure. The production is stopped. This is stopped here. We have no factories working right now. And this is a problem not only for the workers, but also for the owners of these companies and for the consumers. So I think it was a terrible idea, not only in Colombia, but in general, in all those countries that have adopted these kind of measures for contain the situation.
Okay, and so what exactly then are you up to deal with this crisis? Because I know from talking off of the camera that you are up to something, so maybe you might want to share a little bit of that, because I think that it fits in perfectly with the theme of our free market roadshow this year, namely disruptive innovation. And I think you're on the cutting edge of it. So perhaps you might like to say a word about that.
Okay, but first a little introduction. I also have a 3D printing company that works online at this moment. And we are releasing a product, a very innovative product. It's a face mask. It's a face mask that protects all your face, not only your mouth or your nose, but also your eyes. The eyes is the second source of contagion in this crisis. So if you don't have a really good protection on your eyes, you will probably contract the coronavirus. And this is the model. This is the prototype of my mask. It's called Leben Plus. Leben, sorry for my pronunciation in German. Leben is life in German. Leben Plus. And it has two exhalatory systems, here and here, and a face shield. And this is the cherry on the cake. It's a front filter right here. So on inside the mask, I don't know if my cam can catch this one. Mm-hmm. This is an anti-fluid fabric. Mm-hmm. And this is the most strict fabric on the market. So you have a very good protection here. And this is not cotton. This is neoprene for adjust to your face.
That looks great, actually.
Yes, that's other characteristics. It's design, because I don't only pursue or the functionality, but also the aesthetics of this. An object that it's not only functional for your health, for your well-being, but it's also a beautiful pattern. That's the plus. That's the plus value of this invention.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. That's wonderful to know that disruptive innovation is very much alive and well, and that in the couple of years since you've been with us at the Austrian Economics Center, you've gone on to do some really innovative and cool stuff. So, David, I'm not going to take any more of your time right now. So I'd just like to thank you for joining us and sharing a bit of your experience in Colombia and continuing the fight for liberty and innovation.
Thank you very much. And a final message for your audience. Mm-hmm. Every crisis is an opportunity. and we decide to see the glass half full or half empty. And that vision depends on us. So if you think that this is the end of the world, or this is the end of your life, or this is the end of your family relations, think in the great opportunities that every crisis brings with it. So thank you very much, and keep the smile and think in a brighter future for all of us.
That's a wonderful way to end that, David. Thank you. That's
Thank you very much.
Chávez Salazar, who is CEO of Libertas, a consulting firm, as well as editor-in-chief of the academic journal Estudios Libertarios. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to see other content like it, please come visit us at fmrs.online. Thank you.